Congresswoman, I apologize. Have you seen the tweets from Donald Trump?
I have.
And I mean, as a sitting Democratic lawmaker that's being targeted by these, what's your response?
You know, this is the most insane and terrifying thing that we could possibly see. We know Donald Trump has unhinged, he has dementia, he's losing his mind, but this is taking it to an entire other level. He has been operating like an authoritarian since he was, inaugurated again in January, but this is terrifying, Jolly. I think if this is not the moment for every single Republican member of Congress, every single senator, every Republican governor, any person with influence in this country, if you're not going to speak out against this, then what are you even doing?
Speaker, how you doing? The president posted that Democrats who urge service members to not follow illegal orders should be punished. It should be seditious, conspiracy, and punishable by death. Give me a response to that.
Look, I know the DOJ and the Pentagon are looking into the legality of all that, but what I can address is what everybody knows. That was wildly inappropriate. It is very dangerous. You have leading members of Congress telling troops to disobey orders. I think that's unprecedented in American history. And as the father of a young man who is, at the Naval Academy, going to be joining the service, I know young soldiers, airmen, sailors, they don't need that kind of nonsense from people in Congress. It is very dangerous.
Punishable by death.
I'm going to let others define what it is, but it's wildly inappropriate.
Boy. On this episode of Democrats playing stupid games and winning stupid prizes, they won a very stupid prize today because for whatever reason they thought it would be a good idea to put out a video basically demanding that members of the military disobey the president's orders.
I'm Senator Alyssa Slotkin.
Senator Mark Kelly.
Representative Chris DeLuzio.
Congresswoman Maggie Goodlander.
Representative Chrissy Houlihan.
Congressman Jason Crow. I was a captain in the United States Navy.
Former CIA officer.
Former Navy.
Former paratrooper and Army Ranger.
Former intelligence officer.
Former Air Force.
We want to speak directly to members of the military
and the intelligence community
who take risks each day to keep Americans safe.
We know you are under enormous stress and pressure right now.
Americans trust their military.
But that trust is at risk.
This administration is pitting our uniformed military
and intelligence community professionals
against American citizens.
Like us. You all swore an oath
to protect and defend this Constitution.
And right now, the threats to our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad, but from right here at home.
Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
You must refuse illegal orders.
No one has to carry out orders that violate the law
or our Constitution.
We know this is hard and that it's a difficult time to be a public servant.
But whether you're serving in the CIA,
the Army,
or Navy,
the Air Force,
your vigilance is critical.
And know that we have your back.
Because now, more than ever,
the American people need you.
We need you to stand up for our laws,
our Constitution,
and who we are as Americans. Don't give up.
Don't give up.
Don't give up.
Don't give up the ship.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what illegal orders the president is giving members of the military that prompted these individuals to put out this video. But again, this is just one of those play stupid games, win stupid prizes moment, right? And President Trump gave the Democrats a stupid prize with this tweet that he put out accusing them of seditious behavior. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Let's go to the White House right now, where President Donald Trump has more harsh words for House Democrats. So get this. The president is angered by a Washington newspaper's report saying that some Democratic lawmakers released a video urging members of the military to ignore unlawful orders. In fact, look at this. Trump said on Truth Social this morning, "This is really bad and dangerous to our country. Their words cannot be allowed to stand. Seditious behavior from traitors. Lock them up." And then, a short time later, the president finished with this thought: seditious behavior, punishable by death. Heavy words there. Let's talk about them. CBS News White House reporter Willie James Inman joins us now from the White House. So, Willie, take us through what prompted these posts from the president. He is clearly triggered by something.
Yeah, that's right, Reed. Well, this video was posted on social media. Democratic lawmakers who also served in the military posting this message to troops saying essentially that they don't have to follow an unlawful order. Then you saw Trump's response posting the Washington Examiner article about that social media post and calling for these Democratic officials, saying that their behavior is seditious and punishable by death. Now, we are seeing a response from House Democratic leadership who are calling on the president to take this post down. They go into a statement. They say they condemn the president's disgusting and dangerous death threats against members of Congress and call on the House Republicans to forcefully do the same. They then go on to, as I mentioned, call the president to take the post down, calling it an unhinged social media post, and for him to recant his violent rhetoric before someone gets killed. Now, I'll note that Speaker Johnson, the leader of the Republicans in the House, is also responding to this as well. When he was asked about the punishable by death part of the president's statement, he essentially said that the president was defining the crime of sedition. He then goes on to tell reporters in this exchange there on Capitol Hill that it was wildly inappropriate, talking about the video that was put out by the Democrats and that the DOJ and the Pentagon are reviewing the matter. So a lot of moving parts with this developing story, and we'll of course monitor it, and I anticipate that the press secretary will be asked about this when she takes to the podium there in the next coming minutes. Once we see her, we'll of course bring you any developments that happens with this story.
Yeah, so you say that you heard that. Now, again, we're going to get into all of this. I just want to go ahead and play the meltdowns because liberals, Democrats are boo-hooing and crying foul, right? Not over the video that basically is encouraging members of the military to not follow the president's orders, right? Saying, oh, well, we're just saying they shouldn't follow illegal orders, right? Illegal orders. See, they say that in order to cover, but you know what they're actually really saying, right? What they're actually really doing, practically speaking, is that they are telling members of the military, hey, you can disobey the president, right? Again, could you imagine a Republican putting out something like that while a Democrat is in office, right? To undermine a Democrat president like that. I mean, you're talking about sitting senators putting out stuff like that, right? Completely and totally disrespectful to the commander-in-chief. So again, stupid games, stupid prizes.
The President of the United States just called for Democratic members of Congress to be executed. This is not normal. We cannot allow this to feel normal. This, as far as I know, has never happened before in the history of the country. Every Democratic member of the Senate and the House, their life is in jeopardy right now, especially those that were specifically targeted by this social media post. Democratic senators and House members who were simply saying that no member of the military should act illegally or in violation of the Constitution. The President of the United States just called for members of Congress to be executed. If you are a person of influence in this country, maybe it's time to pick a fucking side.
President Trump this morning seemed to be calling for the death of some of his political opponents, their execution. At 10:21 this morning, he wrote, quote, seditious behavior, punishable by death. He's talking about a handful of House and Senate Democrats with background in the military and the intelligence community and the national security community who put out a video saying that any members of the military or intelligence communities who are handed down illegal orders from their superiors should not carry out illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
You must refuse illegal orders.
True. You shouldn't carry out illegal orders. You shouldn't carry out anything illegal. You shouldn't break the law. President Trump is now accusing these people of sedition. President Trump has been really pushing this on social media in ways that are rather inflammatory.
Earlier today, Donald Trump shared a post on Truth Social calling for Democratic members of Congress to be hanged. He also posted a message that said, seditious behavior, punishable by death. Let's be crystal clear. The President of the United States is calling for the execution of elected officials. This is an outright threat, and it's deadly serious. We have already seen what happens when Donald Trump tells his followers that his political opponents are enemies of the state.
But Caroline, can I just follow up? The president and the vice president, for that matter, have accused the other side of encouraging political violence. Isn't that exactly what the president is doing when he says that members of Congress should be killed?
Why aren't you talking about what these members of Congress are doing to encourage and incite violence? They are literally saying to 1.3 million active duty service members not to defy the chain of command, not to follow lawful orders.
Actually,
every single
can refuse an illegal order, which
but
is
they're suggesting, Nancy, that the president has given illegal orders, which he has not. Every single order that is given to this United States military by this commander-in-chief and through this chain of command, through the Secretary of War, is lawful. And the courts have proven that. This administration has an unparalleled record at the Supreme Court because we are following the laws. We don't defy court orders. We do things by the books. And to suggest and encourage that active duty service members defy the chain of command is a very dangerous thing for sitting members of Congress to do. And they should be held accountable. And that's what the president wants to see.
Yeah, so you see, now you heard that. Now, here's my take on this. These are the same people, just remember, that basically accuse anybody who attended the January 6th rally of seditious behavior, right? And insurrection. So just understand that these people have no issues whatsoever with accusing their political opponents of sedition, right? And we already know, at least according to the military definition of sedition, what that entails and what that calls for, right? If found guilty, okay? Which I think that is what the president was doing. He was essentially defining, okay, this is what happens if you're found guilty of sedition, of treason. Yeah, this is what happens, right? Now, do I think that was direct threat of violence? No, I don't think that was a direct threat of violence. I don't think he was calling for violence. I think that he was giving the Democrats the stupid prize that they was looking for. Because let's be real. If you're going to put out a video telling members of the military not to follow unlawful orders from the president, you better define what those unlawful orders are. Because otherwise, what you're doing is that you're essentially encouraging members of the military to second guess the president of the United States. Yes, it is true that the military, they have allegiance to the Constitution, right? Yes, I understand that. We all get that. But the president is still the commander-in-chief. And contrary to popular belief, it is not straightforward in regards to what is an illegal order and what is a lawful order, especially in today's environment, right? There are some things that the military engages in, like, for example, a drone strike in some country that we're not officially at war with, right? Is that lawful? Who knows, right? Who knows? Again, it's legally gray, right? But generally speaking, when strikes like that are ordered, yeah, I mean, the military, they're going to follow them. And if they don't follow those orders, then that's going to be a problem. And that's just one example. I mean, when you talk about on the battlefield, there are so many legal gray areas, right? In actual war. And that's something that these members of the military should actually know. That's what makes this so bad, because they know there are a lot of legal gray areas on the battlefield when you're actually in a war, right? In regards to, legally speaking, what soldiers are allowed to do and what they're not allowed to do. But they have to make judgment calls in the moment. A lot of situations are ambiguous, right? When it comes to legality. Legality of it is worked out later, right? Not in the moment, but later on in court, right? So, practically speaking, when you have sitting members of Congress, senators, that are actively encouraging members of the military to decide for themselves what is lawful and what is not lawful, right? Again, considering how we're living in a time period where a lot of this stuff is gray, right? We're living in a gray area. That is problematic. That is very problematic. Very problematic. Now, obviously, the president of the United States is not ordering members of the military to do things that are obviously unlawful. Like, for example, he's not ordering members of the military to kill American citizens or to carry out assassinations. That's not what he's doing, right? Obviously, that would be unlawful. Obviously, members of the military would not carry that out. They wouldn't do that. And that is the problem with what these Democrats are doing. They try to cover themselves by saying, well, we said unlawful orders. We said unlawful. Therefore, we're not encouraging sedition or treason, right? We're not encouraging that, right? But again, what is the unlawful order that President Trump is giving? What are the unlawful orders? If you're going to put out a message like that, if you're going to put out a video like that, you better define what the unlawful order or the unlawful orders that you are referring to. Because otherwise, you're just creating chaos. And creating chaos for our military is not good, right? It's not good. It's very problematic. And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to create chaos and confusion in order to undermine the authority of the commander-in-chief. That's what they're doing. Practically speaking, that's what they're doing. So again, I don't care about them playing the victim card, old cry. Oh, Lord, me, the president threatened. Oh, you gotta denounce it. Oh, God. Why'd you put out the video? Right? Why'd you put out the video? Why? Like, what was the point? What was the point? Chaos and confusion. So when you try to cause chaos and confusion, hey, the president simply just reminded you, well, technically, this is what happens, right? When you engage in this type of behavior, right? That can be defined as seditious, right? I don't think it was a threat. I don't think it was a threat at all. I think that Mike Johnson was spot on. He was simply just outlining, hey, this is what happens, right? If you engage in what could be defined as seditious behavior. It's not a threat. It's simply just saying, hey, this is just what it is. So, you know, it's just so interesting to see Democrats poke the bear and then they play victim when there are consequences for doing that. Democrats exist to cause chaos and confusion in this country. That's all they do. That's all they're good for. That's the only thing that they can get done. That's the only thing they can accomplish. Chaos and confusion. And the president's getting fed up. He's getting fed up. The Epstein files, chaos and confusion. This, chaos and confusion. The shutdown, chaos and confusion. That's all they do. That's all they do. That's all they're good for. And we cannot forget that that side of the aisle celebrated the assassination of Charlie Kirk. That side of the aisle is the same side of the aisle that said, well, that bullet, if only it moved one more inch closer to President Trump's head, right? This is what they said when the president was facing multiple assassination attempts. Yeah, I'm not going to forget that. So, again, spare me the fake outrage, right? Spare me the, oh, Trump put out a truth post that hurt my feelings. Oh, God. Again, these are the same people celebrating Charlie Kirk's assassination like it was Christmas. These are the same people that were disappointed. They were disappointed that the president lived through an assassination attempt. Multiple assassination attempts, right? I don't want to hear no outrage from these people when they didn't have an ounce of the outrage that they're expressing now when Charlie Kirk was assassinated for his political beliefs. They were not nearly as outraged. Now all of a sudden, oh, this is outrageous. The country's in a dangerous place. Oh, this is out of control. Really? Really? So it wasn't out of control when Charlie Kirk was assassinated for his political beliefs, but now it's out of control because of a truth post that hurt your feelings, right? Huh. Interesting. Interesting. Very, very, very interesting. Yeah. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.